Hello and welcome to a new episode of Morgana Radio, where I, your host Morgana Ray, interview the world's most fascinating thought leaders on money, love, and magic. And my first ever, one of my favorite and best guests when this began, my very first guest was Debra Poneman. And I am thrilled to drag her back because she's amazing, and she's going to be bringing you all sorts of new miraculous exercises. So if you didn't hear the first one, you want to hear the first one, but this is going to be lots of juicy new stuff. And today's topic is living life in the miracle zone. How to live a life that is not only successful and happy, but miraculous, because that is Debra's magic. And by the way, if the title sounds a little bit similar to the interview that I did with Marcy Shimoff, well, the secret's out. They're partners. This is like the bookend. Same title, fresh content, different person, more wisdom. So let me tell you a little bit about Debra. Debra, for over 30 years, Debra Poneman has been a best-selling author, a founder of the Yes to Success seminars, and co-founder of your Year of Miracles mentoring program for women. She has shared her system, now used by tens of thousands of people in every corner of the world. They use the system to create lives filled with success, abundance, and deep fulfillment and profound self-love. Debra is known as the mentor to the mentors. Debra's students have taken her teachings and become mega successful entrepreneurs, renowned transformational leaders, and NY Times best-selling authors, the biggest names in personal development. Oh my God. I don't even know if I don't know if it's cool for me to share names. It's up to you. Many have become millionaires or billionaires. Some are really recognizable household names. But Debra's greatest gift is her deep belief that everyone is magnificent and her ability to convey that belief from her heart to yours. So thank you. Thank you for coming back. I just love you so much. Thank you. This is going to be so much fun. You are going to, viewers, if you're listening on iTunes, just know that this is also being recorded on video, so you can see us on YouTube or at morganaradio.com. You are going to hear the story of Debra's near-death experience. You're going to learn 3 simple shifts that you can make to have everything you desire. And I know there's going to be like a super deep process. So this is not just going to be us blabbing and chatting and gossiping and information. This is going to be transformation. So on the spirit of stopping blabbing, welcome, Debra.
Oh, thank you so much. I just adore you. And you are looking exceptionally beautiful. I mean, you're always beautiful, but today I'm looking at you and thinking, could this person be any more gorgeous inside and out? But today especially, your outer radiance is just, it's breathtaking, and I love you.
I love you. Thank you. So let's dive in to this story of your near-death experience and what that has to do with living miraculously today.
Well, we're just diving in the deep end. But I love talking about it because, as you mentioned, I've been teaching these principles of how to create a successful life and a happy life and a miraculous life for literally decades, since the early 80s. And I always taught people the concept that your thoughts create your reality. It became very popular with The Secret, that we can, if we think positive thoughts like success and prosperity coming, we vibrate with that energy, and then we become like a tuning fork for success and prosperity. If we're talking about how the economy is so horrible and I don't know how I'm going to pay my next bill, we vibrate with that, and then we attract more lack and limitation. Great. It's become very popular. People get that, not like new news here. So a couple years ago, I got a little bit of a flu, but usually if I get a flu, I take some echinacea, some golden seal, and it's gone within a couple hours. That's just my routine. Well, this time I got a flu and it wasn't gone in a couple hours. As a matter of fact, I became more and more and more and more ill as the days went by. And after 4 days, I was lying in bed thinking I could die here because I was so weak and so sick. So I did what any intelligent person would do. I called my favorite healer, and my favorite healer said, I will help you, but you have to promise you do exactly what I tell you to do. And I said, I will. He said, call 911 immediately. I couldn't because I could hardly even move my lips at that point. So he had to call 911. They had to actually break in my door because I couldn't get out of bed. When I got to my house, my blood pressure was 60 something over 20 something. I shouldn't be alive. And I had what's called an advanced sepsis. I didn't have just one deadly bacteria, but two deadly bacteria in my blood. I had just come back from an international trip and somehow I had picked up two deadly bacteria. Anyway, they got me to the hospital. I couldn't go to my favorite hospital that was 10 minutes away. I had to go to one that was 3 minutes away. And while they're trying to save my life, I'm in the ER and everybody's rushing around. I started going to the other side. And while I was in the other side, I had one, in that space between the other side and here, I had one of the most profound experiences I've ever had because I saw three things. One is that, Morgana, when people say there are no mistakes in the universe, that everything is perfect. I saw that. I saw the perfection. I saw that even if somebody did something that looked like a mistake, like one of the nurses dropped my IV bag and it like plopped down on the gurney and everybody shoots her this look like daggers. But when she bent down to pick it up, somebody saw a monitor that had to be adjusted that actually saved my life. So I just saw I saw that everything was actually orchestrated by this divine celestial light. I think I'm moving my hand, or I think that I'm, smelling this flower. It's all being orchestrated by a divine light. And I saw that. And what happened after that was even more profound because my husband had arrived at that time. He was actually my former husband at the time, but still best friends. So they called him and he arrived and he was, needless to say, very worried. And just, I saw tears because it did not look like I was going to make it. And a nurse came over to him and put her hand on his shoulder and said to him, don't worry, she's going to be fine. And Morgana, what I saw was that when she said the word, she's going to be fine, it moves me because I feel like she saved my life. I saw the words, she's going to be fine, come out as like this sparkly pink light, like My Little Pony light, like and it went out and it went into my body and it made me fine. It strengthened me. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I have to get better to tell people that, yes, what I've been teaching for all these decades is the truth. Your word is your wand. Your words do create your reality. And then the doctor came in, took a look at everything on the monitors, and in this really intense voice said, get that blood pressure up or we're going to lose her. And when he said we're going to lose her, I saw this like gray, murky it even had a smell. It smelled like a swamp. And it came out of his mouth. It went into my body and took my strength away. And I remember lying there thinking, I want everybody to gather around and say she's going to be fine. Because if they did, then I thought I could just get up and go to the club and work out. And then the other thing I noticed as I'm there having this kick-ass experience, lying on the gurney, almost dying, thinking this is so cool. I've got to get better. I've got to tell the world the power of their words. And of course, our thoughts are even more powerful, just like, the atom is more powerful than the molecule, and the neutrons and protons and electrons are more powerful than the atom. Those finer levels, our thoughts are even more powerful than our words. And then I noticed that I could see how everybody's thoughts were affecting me. The people who were like, really, you got to get better. This seems like a really nice woman. I could see how their thoughts were making me better. And there's this one guy, this is the funniest part of the whole story. He actually wanted me to die because I was screwing up his lunch date. Because I guess he was supposed to have a break. Later on, I was talking to a nurse about this. By the way, good news. I lived. But, and I remember him seeing the energy of his thought, like, she's going to die anyway. Can't she kind of speed it up because I have a lunch date? But his thoughts affected me. His thoughts made me move closer to death. So it was an amazing, amazing experience. And the bottom line is simply be careful what you think about, because every thought, every word is in fact creating your reality. I can absolutely promise you that. It's not some theory. It is a law of the universe.
I'm so glad that you're talking about this today. Especially, I'm so touched by the divine orchestration, because we're seeing a lot of stuff in the world that doesn't look good. And that's a really important, bigger picture to keep coming back to.
Yes, and we have no idea the forces that are working behind the scenes, the forces of good. We live in a good and loving universe. And sometimes, I mean, this is a terrible example, but I'm going to give it anyway. Sometime before your skin gets really clear, you have to have like a really bad breakout,
Yeah.
And I think that we're having a really bad breakout right now, but it has to purify itself out so that we can have that radiant, beautiful, that energy, that beautiful skin like yours,
Yeah.
that
Thanks.
we have to have that radiant, we have to have the impurities, I think, have to purify themselves out. And we have to just know we live in a loving universe. We live in a loving universe. We live in a loving universe.
Yeah. Choose your self-fulfilling prophecies carefully. And what you just said, I mean, that's the secret of alchemy, is it's not turning lead into gold, is not carrying around a sack of mud. First, you want to extract everything that is impure and in your way, and that's what leaves you with the gold.
And one of the things that people in the spiritual, energetic community, what we've been saying is for years that we should send people love. If we want whatever we want in our lives, we give it out. We want more love. We don't say, no, I don't have a relationship. No, give love to your children, give love to your neighbor, give love. And then that love is going to come back. I think that's what's happening. What's happening right now is so many of us are so sunk that we're forgetting those spiritual principles that we've been teaching and living by all these years. It's been over a month now where a lot of people just wake up in the morning and think that they're living in a nightmare. But the more that we put our attention on what's wrong, what we put our attention on is we're giving that energy. So what we really need to do, and it's a test of our spirituality, it's a test of what we've been teaching people, that what we have to do is look for the good, and the good will expand. But if we're constantly talking about what's wrong, then we are giving energy to what's wrong. And I'm talking to myself, Morgana. I'm not, you people. I am totally talking to myself, because I think the last month or so has been one of the most challenging times in my entire life to be the teacher who lives the teaching, to walk the talk that I've been espousing all of these decades.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to be aware, have your eyes open, not be pretending, and to be at the same time walking the path of the positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just have to tell you one other quick story. A lot of people think that we could just visualize. And I do believe that we could send love from our hearts to those people. I actually had an experience of huge love for the person who quite possibly could be our future president, because what I did was I just sent love from my heart to his, sent love from my heart to his. And I also did the Ho'oponopono. Are you familiar with that, Morgana?
No, what's that?
Well, the Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian kahuna prayer, and it's a prayer of reconciliation and forgiveness. And it was made popular in the West by a doctor in Hawaii that he worked in a high risk ward for mentally insane, like incarcerated criminals. And these were people who were shackled, who were beyond help. And there was nothing anybody could do. And he did this Hawaiian kahuna prayer, which is 4 phrases. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. And when you say those 4 sentences, you're not actually saying it to the person that you want forgiveness from. You're saying it to the part of you that allowed this to happen. Because everything that's going on in the world, we all have a part in it. We all contribute to it in some way. So what this doctor did, is he took out each man's file folder, and instead of trying to introduce some program that was not working anyway for these criminally insane people, he said to each person, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, over and over and over for a few minutes for each folder. And he did that day after day after day. And within a couple months, these men were out of shackles. Some of them were moved to wards for people who are not insane. Some of them were even now, he says, taken on field trips because they were so not a threat to society anymore. And the only thing was him doing that prayer. So I did that for the person who soon possibly might be our president. And I actually started weeping. I actually felt like this compassion for him, because we know he's just hurt. We know he's a hurt child. We know that he's just playing out all of the hurts. And what part was I playing in that? And then as soon as I was able to get to that place through the Ho'oponopono prayer, then the love was able to flow. And I think that did so much more for the world situation than me saying, can you believe it? What is going on? This is insane. Or the other things that I also can sometimes degenerate to.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I needed to hear it. I know that when I've had dangerous people in my life, my form of a banishing spell is to wish them all the love and all the healing and all the happiness and what they truly desire away from me. And in my personal life, that always worked. And I think we need more of that. We just are operating from so much fear, which leads me to what are the 3 shifts that we can make to have everything we desire?
Well, Morgana, one of the things that I believe, and I think that that's why my teaching has lasted for decades, I think everything is really pretty simple. I think that creating a life that is magical, where abundance flows, and that's why I love your work, because you don't go into analysis paralysis. You just do the simple things that you teach, and abundance flows, and it's fun. And even though it works, it's light, it's heart-centered. And I'm going to tell you 3 shifts, and I don't want anybody to think, oh, I know that already. You might know it, but do you do it? And the first one is gratitude. It is absolutely having gratitude for everything you have. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. When I first started teaching these principles in the early 1980s, I was driving a beat up 10-year-old Chevy Bel Air that my aunt had left me when she died. Okay. And instead of complaining about it, every time I got into that car, I thanked it. And her name was Shirley. I named it, not my aunt. My car's name was Shirley. My aunt was Aunt Flo. And I would get into the car and say, thank you, Shirley, for getting me around. And I would just pat the dashboard and have huge gratitude and appreciation for the car that I had. At the same time, I went to the Mercedes dealer. I picked out the car that I wanted, and I put a picture of that car up in my bulletin board. And I promise you, as I sit here today, you can verify this with any of my friends, within a few years, somebody gave me that Mercedes.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, before you're too impressed, in the interim, I got married. I married a wealthy man. But how that Mercedes came into my life is that one day he calls me, he says, "Sweetie, somebody is doing this drive away car and they have to drop off the car here." And it was some very odd circumstances. And it's a Mercedes. Do you want it? And I said, well, what any intelligent person would say, I said, well, what color is it? Because I
You're such a
wanted the
girl.
navy blue. And he said, well, it's navy blue. And there it was. But if I had been begrudging this and I'm only driving this Chevy Bel Air, and no, have gratitude, because the gratitude opens you up. And even the most poverty-stricken person who was listening to this today, if you are listening on your little iPhone or your computer, you have more to be grateful for than 90% of the rest of the people in the world. If you could go to your faucet and turn the right-hand one and pure hot water comes out, and the left and the pure cold, or whatever side they're on, you are better off than 90% of the people in the world. And if I were you, I would have gratitude for the little switch that turns on the heat in the summer, and the air conditioning in the winter, or the other way around.
I get it. Yeah.
You get it, because gratitude opens you up. So that's number one. Number two is what we already talked about, the power of your thoughts, the power of your words. This isn't just some kind of fantasy. I promise you, I saw it with my own eyes, and I give thanks every day for almost dying, because I saw that it's not just some kind of a concept. And the other third thing is something we already talked about also, and that is, whatever you want in your life, give it. If you want more money, be generous with your money. If you want more time, be generous with your time. Whatever you want, be generous with it. And again, appreciate what you have. I just have to tell you, everybody wants to be happy, but a lot of people take the circuitous route, and actually they never get to happiness. And I remember when I was in India a couple years ago, I actually went to visit there's a young man who used to sell these things on the street, and it's to decorate the sidewalk with chalk. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And every day he would see us coming, my daughter and I were in India, and he would sell us some more of this chalk, and we got to be friends with this. And he wanted us to come to his home and meet his wife and baby daughter. So it was the last day we were in India, and we went to his home, which was a piece of blue plastic slung over a tree branch in a junkyard. And there was a whole community. There was a junkyard community, and they all lived in these blue plastic tents. And we went in, and we always say he put out the good couch, because he put a towel down on the dirt floor for my daughter and I to sit on. And his only furniture was two cinder blocks and one board with one pot and a few items of clothing. And now that might sound really sad. These were the happiest people we'd ever met. The people in this junkyard were so full of joy, and they were so excited that we came to visit. And I would take pictures and I'd show them on my camera, and they'd probably never even seen a mirror, the little kids, but they figured out who they were by who they were next to in the picture. And when I came home, I told Marianne Williamson, who's a dear friend of mine, and I told her that experience about the junkyard community. And she said the most beautiful thing. She said, the reason why the people in those communities and those completely downtrodden places on our planet are happy, because if they get two bananas, they always share one with somebody else. And the reason why the people in that are so overflowing with abundance in our country are so miserable, because they have all the bananas they want, but they want to keep them to themselves.
Wow. I'm letting that land. That's really powerful. So I know you had a process that you want to take us through, and it's a big one.
Okay, I'm going to go for it.
Okay.
So, a lot of times what people do is when they want an answer, they look outside themselves. Okay. They ask their mother, they ask their father, they ask their teacher, they ask their guru, they ask their dog. I don't know who they ask, but what people don't realize is that you are never given a question without being given the answer at the same time. But what we need to do is we have to have a path to getting that answer, which is just waiting inside ourselves. People say about Neil Donald Walsh, Messages from God. I think that was the name of his book, Conversations with God.
Yeah.
It's like Neil Donald Walsh had conversations with God. He got all these messages from God. Well, guess what? You get messages from God every minute of every day. The difference is that he sat and wrote them out on his typewriter, but you can write them out too. So what I would love people to do if they're sitting right now,
Not driving,
not driving, but take out a piece of paper, and I'm going to prove to you that you can get messages from God just as easily as Neil Donald Walsh. So take out a piece of paper, or if you're at your computer, piece of paper and a pen. And I actually do this every single morning after my morning meditation. I actually learned this from Napoleon Hill in his book. I think it was either Think and Grow Rich or Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. He called it sitting for ideas. And he said that every morning he gets up and he takes out a piece of paper and he writes across the top, God, what are you and I going to create today?
Good question.
What are you and I going to create today? And then he just writes, just spontaneous writing. This isn't a mental exercise. This isn't a heart exercise. This is let the divine inspiration flow from your crown chakra into your heart and out your arm onto the paper. And I'd love to give people just a minute or two right now. And by the way, I always say a prayer before I start. And my prayer is, I set aside my ego, doubts, and fears, and put a circle of light around me so that only God's grace can come through. I give thanks in advance for the divine wisdom that is about to be shared. Mm-hmm. And then what I do is I start writing. So if we can be silent for a couple minutes, is that okay? Why don't you and I do it?
Okay.
Do
All
it.
right.
And whatever question that you have going on in your life right now, whether it's, should I stay in this relationship or should I not? Or you could just say, God, what do you want me to know? And God, of course, the God of your understanding, what do you want me to know right now? Just whatever question has been ruminating, just put it at the top of the page and then just let the knowledge flow. So let's do that now.
So those of you watching and listening, this is a good time to pause. I'm going to pause the recording. And then when you're done, come back and we'll share our findings. And I know that Debra also has a really groovy gift. And so you want to come back for that. And then we'll wrap it up. So let's begin. Okay, we're back. And I can't wait to hear what Debra came up with. And I came up with my own stuff. So what are you and God creating today?
Well, the first thing that came like really boom was that there's somebody in my life right now who is, let's see, how could I say it? There's somebody in my life right now who is having difficulties and it's kind of spilling over into my life. And what I got was that I need to amp up my love and my support because she's feeling very hurt right now, and it's going to escalate until she is assured that I love her and that I'm there for her, and that I should remember to do the Ho'oponopono because as we said, that my part in what's going, the kind of drama that's going on right now, and also do the Ho'oponopono towards myself and forgive myself for allowing it to get to this point before I did this, before I just assured her that I'm there and that I love her. So that was huge for me, absolutely huge for me, because I know exactly what I'm going to do today around that. Yay.
Yay. I just added that to my list. I think my husband and I have someone who we love a lot who's in a lot of fear right now that I think we'll do that together. Oh, I love that. So, yeah, I got the first thing that came up for me, just the words came out, love and gratitude. And then I got like a laundry list of actions, forward moving actions to take to move me towards what I want to create next. So, including fantasizing about what I want to create next, and booking those dang plane tickets and rooms for my next retreat in Bali. It's time.
Hey,
Yay.
great. This is a great exercise, isn't it?
Yeah, and by the way, this whole conversation is being posted at morganaradio.com. Just go to morganaradio.com and search for Debra Poneman, and you'll find 2 interviews come up. So the one from 2017, post, viewers, listeners, post what you came back, and you can come back over and over again and just post what came up for you and make this a practice. It really helps to have witnesses, having a supportive community. It strengthens the muscles. And, on the topic of community and support, you have a program that you offer once a year with your friend Marcy Shimoff. And I know you also have a gift, and I don't even know what the gift is. We're going to have a download link to it at morganaradio.com. So before we wrap up, and then I'm going to ask for a miracle story to just cap it off, but what is your program and what is the gift?
Well, our program is called Your Year of Miracles, and just a very brief timeline as to how this program came about. Do you know this, Morgana, that Marcy was my secretary in the early 80s. And a good secretary she was. And her very first speaking engagement was when I was teaching Yes to Success around the country, and I became ill and I couldn't do a weekend seminar. And she said, well, we have to cancel it. I said, no, someone's going to do it. And she goes, well, who? And I said, you. And that was her actual first speaking engagement. Of course, she did an incredible job, but she got the speaking bug, right? And then she went on to become a world-renowned speaker. She is the #1 best-selling all-time nonfiction woman author. And she's just made an amazing life for herself. And you know my story. I retired in 1988 for 21 years to be home with my kids. So people say, well, yeah, I've heard of Marcy Shimoff, but where have you been? I've been at Chuck E. Cheese. And it was really fun. I mean, I didn't stay there for 21 years, but that was our favorite go-to place. Like, we actually like cardboard pizza and jumping into, ball pits. But anyway, so and then when I came out of retirement, Marcy said, I have this idea. You know the absolute formula for teaching people how to create success in their lives, and I know the formula for creating happiness in your life. And we both live these miraculous lives. Why don't we get together and teach people how to create miracles? And this is going to be our 4th year of our program. And for the last 3 years, we have seen miracle upon miracle upon miracle happen in people's lives. It's just, we have to pinch ourselves that we even are playing a role in what's happening in the lives. We've had over 4,000 people, mostly women, come through our program. So it's just been quite extraordinary. So we teach, it's a 1-year program for women. It's a mentoring program, and at the end of the year, we have different levels. And our inner circle level, we have a retreat. You said your retreat in Bali. We don't go to any place as exotic as Bali, but we do have a great retreat. And so we have a basic level, an accelerated, and an inner circle level. They're all fantastic. And any level anybody chooses to join us, you will create
Oh,
miracles in your life.
and
Although
but
what we say is you can't create miracles. They're a gift from the divine, but we'll teach you how to live in the miracle zone where miracles just flow.
oh, that's beautiful. So for people to like, we got a really awesome taste of you this week, and we got a really amazing taste of Marcy last week. And but before anybody marries you, what is the next date? What is this gift?
Yeah, right before they marry me. That's right. I'm thinking, am I getting married?
Well, I think that a coaching commitment is a marriage.
Yes, absolutely. That's so beautiful. And absolutely. So our first date, and it's a perfect first date, and I'll tell you why. What Marcy and I have done is we've taken one of our see, everything is live. So you 1 year live program. We don't give people tapes to listen to. It's us. And what we did was we took one of our master mentoring calls on living true spirituality, and we are giving it to everybody so they really can have a first date with us. So, yeah, so it is a 1 hour presentation that we gave on how to live true, deep, profound spirituality in your life. And it's from our Year of Miracles program, just
Awesome.
hot off the presses.
Okay. And one last piece. I know we said it was only going to be a half hour, and I'm obviously like holding on to you. Um, but you've shared miracles in your own life, a few of them. What is one of your favorite miracle success stories from one of your clients?
Well, I'll tell you something that just happened recently because it's the most fresh in my mind. I was giving a live program, and somebody ran up to me afterwards. Not your Year of Miracles program. I was giving a talk. I was actually in Canada, and somebody ran up to me and said, and she, interestingly enough, was from England, but it was in Canada, and she said, I'm one of your people in your Year of Miracles, and she said, I have to tell you what's happened this year. I got a divorce. I lost my job, and I had to move out of my house that I've lived in for 25 years, and I have never been happier or freer in my life. And I thank you, and Mossy, and I love you. and I have to say, Morgana, a lot of people, they hang on to things that are not working for them.
Mm.
And what you're doing is you're closing off the miracles that want to come into your life. And this woman, and then she went on to say what's happened since she left her husband, since she left her job. And it was so miraculous that I was listening to her like, but that is my favorite, most recent story because we give people this, not only the tools, but also the supportive community that allows you to move ahead in your life in ways that you might not have been able to without the tools and without the community.
That sounds like real freedom. So
Yes.
awesome. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to see you. I love you.
I love you. I can't wait to see you in person again. Mwah.
Mwah.